Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Arin, and welcome to my very first reading vlog. I've honestly tried to film this a couple of times, and I was being way too hard on myself. I was like, this has to be like high concept, intense, TBR, like just, you know, we're gonna do it. It has to be the best thing ever made. And then whenever I thought about it, unsurprisingly, I got so stressed out that I just got really sleepy. So yeah, we're gonna do the opposite of that. We're just gonna do a very chill weekend reading vlog to start things out, take some pressure off of myself. I'm so excited about the TBR for this. Talking about the monk and duology. The monk and the robot duology. So this is A Psalm for the Wild Built and Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. I'm so excited. I think that this is going to be perfect cozy weekend reading. I also just finished Looking Glass Sound, which was not for me. And I think this will be the opposite of that. So, fingers crossed. I just want something just simple, I guess. Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, so I'm going to be reading those. In case you don't know what they're about. They're about a tea monk and a robot. So the tea monk, I believe, is kind of like a therapist almost, except they brew tea to suit the needs of the other person, like emotionally, I think. To like calm them down or to make them happier or whatever, I think. I haven't read it yet. And this goes on in a society hundreds of years after all of the robots say we're out. Like, we're not doing this anymore, bye! And they run off into the forest and never talk to us again, which sounds so nice. But then one day, one of the robots comes back to talk to this tea monk and ask, what do people need? So I think that the two books are them going on a little journey around asking different people, what do people need? And I'm really excited about it. I hear that it's just a really wholesome, cozy, nice time, which is exactly what I need right now. We're just having a cozy, reading, eating some food, drinking some tea time. So let's just get into it. This broadcast for a segment that I like to call Book Mail, in which I open mail that has books in it. This is my Book of the Month box. I did already cut open to it because I've already filmed the first book before realizing that I was looking into the viewfinder instead of the lens. Mother diddly! I've been looking at the diddly thing again. God damn it! So I didn't tape it back up, so that's why I'm not cutting it up. So, here we go. Take two, am I right? The first book, I'm a little nervous about. I was super excited about it, and now I'm a little bit nervous, and here's why. I'm really gay. Very, very Kinsey 6. Attracted to the ladies and the thems. And this is a straight romance. I thought for the longest time that I didn't like romance and it was just because I'm gay reading straight romances, you know? And then I read One Last Stop and I was like, oh damn, okay, just gay. There is a reason I did this and I will explain it, but I'm a little bit nervous that I'm gonna hate it. We'll see. This book is You Again by Kate Goldbeck. This is, if you couldn't tell from the cover, a current retelling of When Harry Met Sally. And let me tell you, that's the reason I got it. I am a diddly for those movies. I am a Meg Ryan diddly. The trifecta, Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail, and When Harry Met Sally. Amazing. I don't know what the difference is between reading books, like straight romances, and watching straight romances. I think with a movie, it's just shorter. I don't really know. But with a book, it's a longer time and you have to really be in it with the romance or else you're like, what's happening? And with me, I just struggled to be like, are you sure, girlfriend? But that's just me. I'm a little too gay for these most of the time. Hopefully though, I'll enjoy this one because I love When Harry Met Sally. The next one I'm very, very excited about. Another kind of odd pick for me though. This is Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. And so, let me show you the beautiful cover. Why am I doing that accent? I don't know why I'm doing that accent, but here we are. So, the reason this is kind of a weird pick for me is I'm pretty thoroughly anti-true crime at this point in my life. I was really into it for a while, and now But what pulled me into this one is that the serial killer's name isn't even in the synopsis. This is about the women who survive. I believe they refer to him as the first celebrity serial killer. It takes place in 1978, which is also very exciting. I tend to prefer books that don't take place now. And it is two women who both survive their friends being murdered by a serial killer and coming together to figure shit out and make sure that he gets what's his. The line that really sold me on this. It proposes a new narrative inspired by evidence that's been glossed over for decades in favor of more sellable headlines. That the so-called brilliant and charismatic serial killer from Seattle was far more average than the countless books, movies, and primetime specials have led us to believe. And that it was the women whose lives he cut short who were the exceptional ones. Sign me up. And the cover is beautiful. Okay. And then I got one oldie. I got an oldie that I've been hearing so much about, and I'm so excited to read it. I think it's going to be very strange. Oh, and it's a lot shorter than I expected. And that is Piranesi by Susanna Clark. I've been told to go into this knowing as little as possible. All I really know is that someone is in a mysterious location trying to figure out where they are and like taking notes on the surroundings. That's really all I know. And I'm really excited. That's the book mail for today. Now back to your regular scheduled programming. Good morning. Well, what time is it? It's 1 p.m. Good afternoon. I've had a pretty good morning. I read for a while, really cozy up on the couch, had one of my favorite teas, black lavender, so good. Which is very necessary reading Psalm for the Wild Built because it just wants to make me chug tea. But we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, I read for a while. I talked to my mom on the phone. She's the best. And here in like half an hour, I have to go get my blood stolen by a healthcare professional. You might be thinking, hey, Arin, you're going in to get your blood drawn. That doesn't really sound like they're stealing it. I say, I can't have the meds that I need to live without them taking my blood. So it doesn't really sound like I have much of an option, does it? I think it's stealing. I hate getting my blood drawn. So I'm trying to avoid an anxiety attack. Talking to my mom helped a little bit. My partner is going to bring me some matcha, and afterwards we're gonna go get a little treat. It'll all be fine. I'll probably only cry a little bit. Anyway, let's talk about the book. So I am right about halfway through. I'm really loving this in sort of a way that I wasn't expecting. I knew that I would love it, but I didn't realize that I would relate to it so strongly. So, like I said before I started in the initial little summary, we follow Dex, who is a tea monk. Before they become a tea monk, they're a gardener in the city, and they just get to the point where like every day feels the same. They're not feeling fulfilled. They're not feeling happy. And so they decide to become a tea monk in the hopes that getting out of the city, traveling around, helping people, that will make them happy and fulfilled. So they go out, they get really good at it. They're beloved, like people are so excited when they roll into town with their tea, but then they don't feel happy and fulfilled anymore. Like the happiness and fulfillment only lasts a little while, and then they have that same lack of fulfillment, the same I'm not in the right place, I'm not doing the right thing, I'm not being the person I want to be, like those feelings again. And boy howdy, do I feel called out. Dex and I are the same age, at least at the beginning of the book. They're 29, I'm 29. This is also the first time that I've ever read about a main character who uses they them pronouns, just like me, which makes me very happy, and I'd like to do more of it. There's one part when Dex meets the robot Mosscap and asks, do you have a gender? And Mosscap says no, and Dex says me either, and I wish that we could all just meet each other and exchange names and then say, do you have a gender? Anyway, so as far as relating to this so much, I am currently, can you see him? Just his butt. I'm currently working a job that I dreamed about doing for a long time and that I thought I would love, and that's not what's currently happening or has been happening. I've really been taking it down to myself and feeling like, why can't I just be happy doing this thing that I thought would make me happy, and you know, blah blah blah. So I'm hoping that this continues to call me out, that I get some wisdom from Dex and Mosscap that will help me feel better about the choices that I've made and the life that I'm leading. I also just got to the point where Mosscap is introduced. I would die for Mosscap. I love Mosscap so much. And I'm really interested to see how Mosscap is written, because I have found in reading various sci-fi, let me see if I can find at least one of them. Here's my copy of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. So I'm autistic, and I am very interested in the ways that robots and androids and sometimes aliens, or you know, like different species from humans, I mean Spock's a great example, how they are written in a similar way that autistic characters are written, and how their storylines tend to be about what makes a human a human. Okay, they don't feel emotions in the same ways that humans do, or you know, whatever. Like we're questioning humanity, what makes a human through a sci-fi lens, through robots and other humanoid non-humans, right? But when these characters really feel autistic coded to me, whether or not that is, and I doubt that it's usually intentional from the author, but is often the case, that makes me think, oh, I'm reading about this robot who I relate to more than a lot of human characters, a lot of neurotypical human characters. And the conversation we're having here is, what do they lack that makes them not a human? I'm like, okay, so are we talking about me? Which, you know, I guess it is a little bit egotistical, but it's hard for me and my lived experience, being an autistic person, it being such a huge part of my life and how my mind and body works and how I interact with the world, to not think, okay, so are we questioning what autistic people lack that makes us inhuman? Are we questioning the humanity of neurodiverse people? Anyway, so I wrote a paper about that in college, and that's why I have all of these tabs in this one, and I had a few other books for that paper. I think this is the only one I've kept. But I bring this up because Mosscap, my absolute homie, is already so relatable to me. Okay, so this passage is from when Dex and Mosscap first meet. Dex realized, slowly, still naked, still dripping, that the robot wanted them to shake its hand. Dex did not. The robot pulled back. Oh dear, have I done something wrong? You're the first human I've ever met. The large mammals I'm most familiar interacting with are river wolves, and they respond best to direct approach. Mosscap, in this first scene, is always just on a slightly different page from Dex. Always asking a question that's a little bit wrong and that Dex doesn't quite like, but Mosscap doesn't know why, is asking questions that Dex thinks that it should already know the answers to. Things like this. This is how I feel when I meet anyone, and especially the first quote that I read, the one about, oh, well, this thing that I tried with you works well with this other group, but maybe I need to, you know, change to suit this person. Sirens, sorry. Is so relatable to me. Every time I'm getting to know a new person, I think, okay, when their voice goes up at the end of a sentence, it means that they're feeling this, which means that I need to do this. Or, okay, when I said that, when they said that, it didn't go well, and I think this is why. Let me try this. Oh, that didn't work either. Okay. And it's just like cataloging what each change in facial expression, in body language, in tone of voice means for this specific person, remembering all of that, and then thinking through trial and error, okay, how can I respond in a way that won't make them upset with me? Or will do this, or whatever I'm trying to do here. And it's exhausting, first of all, obviously. Like, that's horrible that I do that. Not horrible as in like unethical, but it's horrible that I have to do that. That I run all of my RAM just trying to figure out what's going on with the people that I'm talking to so I don't piss them off. And because I want, you know, I want to understand other humans. Anyway, you know, like Mosscap did, I might be like, okay, this person reminds me of this person, and that person likes when I do this. So let's try that with this person. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's, you know, let's try this, you know, whatever it is. And like, I have to do that, all of that really consciously and logically in a way that I don't think neurotypical people have to do. And in a way that my bud Mosscap does have to do. So yeah, I just wanted to say before I finish this that I'm very interested in whether or not Mosscap is, at least to me, autistic coded, and hopefully it is in a more positive light than a lot of sci-fi books have their non-humans autistic coded, because a lot of the time it just sucks. But I'm hoping that this is a positive experience. I also kind of wonder if it's going to end up feeling like part of me is giving advice to the other part of me, because I relate to both Moscap and Dax in different ways. If like a certain higher consciousness version of myself who's less masked, who has more realistic expectations of myself, is kinder to myself, has different priorities than the ones that the world has put on me, gives advice to the Dex part of me who is like, oh, diddly, I thought this is what I wanted to do with my life and I don't think I do. Who even am I? All right, well, I'm getting a little anxious about giving up my blood, so I'm gonna go read for a while until my partner gets here and we can go get it out of the way. I hope to update you again today, but we're also going over to a friend's to play some Catan. So we'll see if I see you tonight or in the morning again. I'm too sleepy for a real update, but I love this book so much, and I would die for Moscap. Or kill. Good morning. I am quite tired today, low on spoons. I do have less blood in me than the last time you saw me, and I didn't even cry. So, and then we went to a friend's house and played Catan, and I freaking won, which is insane. I'm not assertive enough to win games like Catan, but I did it. I did it. I'm so proud of me. We got home at like 11 p.m., which for most humans, that's not crazy, that's fine, that's reasonable. For me, that's atrocious. So, low on spoons. So I'm thinking that other than folding and putting away laundry today, I'm just gonna read more, I'm gonna chat with you, and just really, really relax. I have work tomorrow, it's my Sunday, and I just want to have the coziest day of all time. As you probably saw, this morning I finished A Psalm for the Wild Built. It is such a weird thing where the first book I read on this channel is an instant, forever favorite of all time, period. So I need to decide how I'm going to talk about it and kind of think through it and steep on it a little bit. I think what I'll do is probably read all of A Prayer for the Crown Shy today, but holy diddly. This is essentially a religious text now. I cried. I was called out in such a perfect way, just like I suspected I might be. Moscap is one of my favorite characters of all time. Should I get a tattoo of Moscap? Should I do it? I related so much to Moscap, and it also taught me so much about basically how I'm making myself sick and how the productivity, higher meaning, we all have to be special and have a huge, big life that leaves a lasting mark forever, how all of that is just making me sick, and how it's okay to just be and feel things and appreciate things and love the people around me and just have a small, mundane, beautiful life. And then that's more than enough. And I really, really, really needed that. I loved it so much. I'll do a really in-depth review of both of them at the end and talk about kind of who I think would really enjoy these books and who might not. But for now, I'm gonna cuddle up with my cats, get chugging on A Prayer for the Crown Shy. Hello, I'm back. It is a couple days later. I really wanted some time to steep, if you will, and kind of get my thoughts together for Monk and the Robot duology. All I care about is Moscap now. I don't care about anything else. There's no room in my heart for anyone but Moscap. I love it so much. My beautiful, beautiful child. Let's get into the two books as a whole. These books really meant a lot to me. As I suspected, I felt completely called out in the best way possible. I felt like they were talking to me specifically, but also I feel like a lot of people will feel that way. If you are someone who is struggling with feeling like you always have to push to be your best self, you have to find your purpose, you have to find your career, you have to be productive, you have to make money or leave the biggest footprint that you can, however that is. If you feel like you're not your best self and pushing yourself to be your best self is making you feel even worse, I think these could really help you. They mostly consist of conversations between Dex, the tea monk, and Moscap, the robot, that are philosophical but extremely accessible. And they're talking about things like what our purpose is, how we should be spending our time, how to treat others in the world around us, and where worth lies, and what makes us us, and, you know, all of these types of things. But in ways that made me laugh out loud, ways that made me cry, ways that made me feel seen and understood, and also made me think about things that I had never thought about before. And it somehow managed to do that in a way that felt accessible, light, friendly, welcoming, and I really feel like I'll never forget it. I really feel like these are all-time favorites for me. 5 stars. I also really want to talk about how I plan on recommending books on my channel in general. Oh, my cat wants to come in. 1 second. He's gonna yell at the door if I don't let him in. Hi, my Lou. Oh! Did you hear that teeny tiny baby meow? Oh my goodness. You want to talk about books? Okay. I was going to talk about how I plan on talking about and reviewing and recommending books. I'll probably, at least for a while, do star ratings, really just so you have like a vague feeling of how my subjective experience was with the book. I really want to talk about my subjective experience and then who I think would like it and who I think wouldn't. So I wanted to do that using the 4 doorways. And that is a strategy that was created by a librarian named Nancy Pearl, who I can only assume is a beautiful genius. She made it to make recommending books to patrons easier. The concept is that there are 4 main reasons why people read books, and that's their doorway into the story. That's what draws them in. That's what's the most important to them. And you can have multiple. You can have 1. You can feel indifferent to some. You can dislike some. And the 4 doorways themselves are character, plot, setting, and prose. If you like character-driven stories, if you like really deep character development, character studies, or if you just really want to feel like you're getting to know someone, you're probably a character person. If you like twists and turns, if you like page turners, if you like plot-driven, you want a lot happening, intricately plotted is also said a lot. You're probably a plot doorway person. Setting, if you want to feel like you're there in the place, you want to feel grounded there, you want to be transported to someplace you've never been or you never could go, or to a time that you could never go. Setting. And prose, you probably want a little flowery prose, maybe lyrical, maybe poetic, you know, you're really interested in the way that the story is told on a sentence level, right? So personally, I am a character and a setting reader. I want to feel like I know the people or the characters really deeply, and I want to be transported someplace or sometime that I could never go, and I want to feel transported like I am there. If a book is too plot heavy for me, to the point where it takes away from the character and the setting, then I get annoyed, and I don't really like it. And if prose are such a big focus that I get lost in the way that the story is being told rather than the story, if it's distracting, then I get annoyed and I don't like it. So that's me, but we all have different things. And so I want to point out which of these doorways I think are the focus of whatever book I'm reviewing, so that you can know if you would or wouldn't like it. I would definitely say that these are character and setting books, which worked out beautifully for me. The characters are lovable and also complicated. I feel like I know them and I miss them, obviously. I miss Mosscap. I just love Mosscap so much. And then also setting. So the world building in these is really interesting because there's no info dumping. There's really no time for it. These are both about 150 pages. They just sprinkle in information about this world throughout the stories in ways that were really, really interesting and captivating to me, and made me feel like I was there and like I understood how day-to-day life in this world happened and what everything looked like and how it felt like and the vibes and all of that good stuff. But it was never bogged down by info dumping or by 3 pages describing how a field looks. There's very little plot in these. It's really just conversations and exploring the world and having these philosophical conversations. And the prose really take a backseat. They're never clunky, they're never ugly. They do their job beautifully. There were sentences where I was like, wow, that was beautifully said, but it was never distracting. It was never the central point. If you are a character and or setting person, these could work for you. I definitely recommend them. I love them so much. But if plot and or prose is really important to you, you're probably not going to find that here. A few specific things that I wanted to talk about really quick before we stop talking about these beautiful, beautiful books. If you are someone who has a lot of anxiety about climate change or the stage of capitalism that we're currently in and what fixing those things might look like, these might help you feel better about it. They helped me. Post-breakdown books are usually post-apocalyptic, right? They're so scary and they make my anxiety so much worse. I'm someone who has a lot of anxiety about the climate and capitalism, and this was the first time that I've read a positive outcome where humans made the changes necessary. Pretty late, irreversible damage was already done, but the changes were made to help the planet and to help humans. It was very comforting for me personally. And then I also wanted to talk about autism really quick, because I always do. I mentioned in an earlier clip that I find that the way that robots and sometimes aliens in sci-fi are often written in the same way that autistic characters are. But oftentimes they're literally not human, right? And so a lot of the time the conversations are, this android looks human, but they can't really pick up on nonverbal cues because they're not human, so what does this say about being a human? And things like that, and it's like, Jesus H, I'm a human. Chill the heck out, you know? It's really interesting, but it's hard not to take personally. And this was the first time that I read a robot that, to me, I'm not saying it was intentional from the author, I'm not saying that other people are going to feel the same way, but to me, reading Mosscap, I related to it because of autistic traits that I have, because of experiences that I've had that are directly related to autism. Clearly I love Mosscap. All of it only made me feel better about myself and made me love Mosscap more. I just wanted to share that that was an experience that I had reading this book. And if you're autistic, you might have a similar experience, or we might have different brands of autism, and you might not see Mosscap that way. And that's all good. But for me, it was really comforting, and it felt positive and loving and made me feel seen. And that was really important to me. Anyway, that has been my very first vlog. I hope it turned out well. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, I would love it if you'd subscribe. If you want to like this or comment anything, please let me know if there are any like theme vlogs you want me to do, or if there are any more sit down types of things that you really like watching and you'd be interested in seeing me do. By all means, let me know. And I'm gonna go film my booktube newbie tag video. I hope to post these two on the same day. So if you're interested in more information about me and what I want my channel to look like, you can watch that video if you like. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this. It really means a lot to me. I hope you like it. I hope to see you again. Yeah, goodbye for now.